Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Meredith Phillips, and today I thought we would do something a little different. I'm going to be showing you what a day in the life of a writer with a full-time job looks like. I did a video similar to this earlier in the year. I'll link to it below if you want to go check it out. That one was a little more in-depth. It was a week in the life of a writer with a full-time job. So I'll link that below if you want to check that out. But I thought I would concentrate more specifically on what a full day looks like for me. As you can see, my day started at 5 in the morning. That is the time I'm currently getting up and getting going with things. Typically, I grab a cup of coffee and then I'm in my room by 5:10, 5:15, something like that, to get started with some writing. I do want to link below to another video I did. It was probably like two and a half years ago now. It was a minute ago. It's the morning routine video, which focuses, as the title would suggest, a little more closely on the morning routine I had at the time. And I actually rewatched it recently before I started making this video. And it's good. If I do say so myself, I would go check that one out also, specifically because at that point, I was not getting up at 5 in the morning and I was not doing any writing whatsoever in the morning. My life at that point looked very different. We still had several of the bunnies at that point, and 2 of them were in decline, pretty heavily so. And so my morning was spent taking care of aging rabbits, and I also was getting up at like 2 or 3 in the morning because I was so anxious about them, and I was changing bunny diapers at 2 in the morning and all this kind of thing. And so you, again, go watch that other video for more details on what things looked like. But I do want to just make the point that, like, I'm not trying it with this video to say like, oh, this is some sort of like ideal routine that everyone should be striving for. That's not what's happening here. I think you need to take a look at your own life and decide what makes sense for you with your other required activities. And that's going to change over time, right? If you're a single person with no partner and no children and maybe just a little dog or something, like, your life is going to look one way. If you're a mom with a full-time job and like 5 kids, like, your life is going to look a little different. So you need to do what works for you. And this video is just meant to show you what is working for me currently as of December 2024. So I'm filming this on Tuesday, December 3rd, and yesterday, as you will see in an upcoming vlog, I got back the critique and feedback from my mentor, and I'm diving into all of her comments on all of the things. I'd gotten the email response yesterday, and so I'd had time yesterday to sort of read through things, just sort of absorb what all she was saying. And then this morning I really wanted to go in and just sort of take some time to organize the pieces, because I have a couple different things here. I've got an email with like a summary of her thoughts essentially, and then there's additional details with a little bit more in terms of specificity within the in-doc comments. So for me personally, when there is information on like what to do spread across multiple places, it gets a little overwhelming for me. It's just too many pieces to try to look at and consolidate. And so that I try to do exactly that. I try to look at everything and then consolidate it so that all of the pieces are in one place, and I'm not trying to look through like 2 or 3 different documents to get the information I need. So this morning what I did is I opened up the full manuscript with all of her in-doc comments, and I did something a little dramatic. I do still have like the original document saved, and then I just copied it. I'm looking through this one instead. I went through, she did have a couple, like a very few, maybe 10 different little like track changes kind of things where I'd like spelled a word wrong, or something little minor things like that. So I went through those real quick and accepted the changes. I updated my Scrivener document, and then I went through and I deleted every comment that was positive, which sounds ridiculous, but There were like 120 some comments in this document, and for me, the more text that is in my face, the more overwhelming it becomes. I love positive comments, who doesn't? But there's nothing like actionable with a comment where she's like laughing at a line or she's saying how much she loves it. Those are great. I definitely want to know those things. But once I know those things, there's nothing else to really do with it. You know what I mean? So I don't need to act on it. I don't need to change anything with those instances. So what I like to do is just delete them so that I'm not faced with like 120 comments. I've now gotten this document down to under 80 comments, which is still a lot, but 80 is more manageable than 120, right? I still, like I said, I have the original document, so if I want to go back and get a little confidence booster, it's right there for me. But now everything is just the stuff that I really need to focus on and decide, okay, what am I doing with this piece of information from her? So I did that, and then I also duplicated my Scrivener document. We're now in draft 5, official. It's draft 5 time. I did a little Scrivener document organizing just so that I can get myself in place here. So that's pretty much it. Typically what happens in the morning after this is I usually am getting in the shower around 6:45-ish. My husband is up and takes care of like the morning routine for the doggos, giving them their breakfast time and medicine and whatever else, playing with them and stuff like that, taking care of them while I get ready for work. So let's go ahead and get ready for work. So if you followed me for some amount of time, I've talked about my day job here and there. It's nothing exciting. I work for a very small business that has a contract with the federal government, and we sell them office supplies, pens, paper, folders, sticky notes, ink cartridges for their printers, all that kind of stuff. My official title is Operations Officer. I don't know what that means, but I have had that job basically for the last, like 11 years. Don't talk to me about it. Okay. I do all kinds of things. I do customer service, providing quotes for people. I answer the phone when necessary. I answer people's questions about products, help them find things on the website. I also do more operations sort of things in terms of like assisting with delivery stuff. I send POs to people. I receive POs. I work on pricing contracts. And basically there's like one person in the office who knows how to do all of the weird random stuff that you have to do like once or twice a year and no one else knows how to do it. I'm the person who does the weird random stuff. So anyway, it's okay. Like there's nothing, it's not the worst job you could have, certainly, but it's not exactly fulfilling or satisfying in any kind of meaningful way. So my typical workday is from 7:30 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon with a half-hour lunch break around noon. Thrilling. I'm really sure that is not what you're here for though. So let's skip forward a little bit to the more interesting things. At 4 o'clock, when I am done with the day job, I first get to go get Jade up, and she usually needs to go potty immediately. So we go outside, take care of that. And then it's kind of a little bit of a wait and see situation. Jade, in case you're new around here, she has like some behavioral issues. She's on a variety of medicine, like I've talked about her in the past, and so I sort of need to be available to either do what she needs to be done for her, or sometimes she's just like, honestly, she's just like annoying sometimes. She'll be like barking, or she'll be in my office here and she'll be just like getting into all the things. So sometimes I play with her, or other times, like today I tried to go back to my office to start working on some things, but she was just like barking at nothing. Like there's nothing going on outside. I don't know what she's doing. But anyway, so sometimes what helps is if I'm just present out there with her. So today what I decided to do is I went in the kitchen and I put away some buttermilk. I had to buy a whole big container of buttermilk to make buttermilk biscuits like a week or two ago, whenever that was, and it was getting to the point where it was going to go bad if I just left it in the refrigerator. So I am putting it in some little Ziploc baggies so I can freeze it The internet said I could freeze it, and then just thought when I want to make biscuits again. So that's what I did. And just me standing there like doing stuff. Sometimes I'll like unload the dishwasher or clean up a little something. You know, I'll do little chore kind of things like that. So I'm around, I'm moving around, I'm doing things, and a lot of times just like my presence out there will just sort of chill her out. She'll sometimes watch me while I'm doing whatever I'm doing. Other times she'll just kind of like go off and do her own thing. But either way, it seems to calm her down most of the time. So I do that. And then it's sort of a waiting game, honestly. She has a chair in the living room that is her chair, and it is her favorite place to be. And so once she's kind of done, like, being Jade, she's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go take a nap. At some point between like 4:10 and 4:30, she'll climb into the chair and curl up and be extremely cute. And she'll really just stay there, honestly, most of the time until dinner. Sometimes she gets out of the chair, sometimes we have to go potty, but most of the time, once she's in the chair, of her own will, I'm not like forcing her to go in the chair or anything. And it is in a little pen there. You'll see it's in a little pen, but the gate is open so she can come and go as she wants. Typically, once she's in the chair, she's in the chair for the next little while, and I can usually go do something else. What do I do when I come back to this office? Sometimes I'm doing writing work. Sometimes I'm editing videos. Sometimes if I'm just like tired and just not feeling it, I'll just watch YouTube videos, I'll fart around on the internet, I'll just kind of do things that aren't really productive, but it's just sort of relaxing, right? So for today, since I've just gotten this feedback back, I'm very excited to really, keep working on this. So that is what I have chosen to do for today. So I'm still in this stage of sort of organizing the feedback I received. I'll go into all of the details in the vlog you'll see next week, but that's what I'm doing for now. So the amount of time that I work in the afternoon really depends on a couple factors. Number one is probably just my own like stamina and level of exhaustion at that point in the day. Sometimes I've still got a lot of energy and I'm able to get a lot done. Other times I'm kind of just like slogging through and not really making a whole lot of progress. Or like I said, I'm just going to be frittering away my time on the internet. But typically I can write or work on writing related stuff until at least 5. It really depends on what is for dinner that night. If I have some complex dinner that I'm trying to make and need more time, obviously I've got to get into the kitchen sooner rather than later if I want to eat in a timely manner, which I do. But if I'm making something really simple like pizza, we do a lot of homemade pizza here, or like spaghetti, something that takes like 20 minutes to throw together. If it's something like that, then I can maybe get in like an hour plus, hour and a half worth of work in the afternoon. So, my time in the afternoon really can range from 0 to like 90 minutes sometimes. And tonight for dinner, I am on my own. My husband was actually out of town tonight, so I got the whole place to myself. And I was making pizza for myself, which means there's going to be absolutely no cheese in sight because, as previously stated, I don't like cheese. If I'm on my own for dinner, I like to just eat with a video going or something. I'll bring my iPad out to the kitchen table. Usually at this point in the day, I don't watch a whole lot of like AuthorTube videos or like learning videos. I don't really want to be learning or like focusing on anything very much. Sometimes I will, but a lot of times, more often than not, I'll watch like a video game playthrough kind of thing or something more lighthearted where I'm not like trying to be super immersed in it. I'm just wanting something like kind of mindless and entertaining. And that is my dinner time. Up next is doggy dinner time. Jade absolutely hates dinner time. Hey Jade, are you ready for dinner times? Dinner time? Dinner times? Okay. Hold on. You can tell by how much she is protesting me trying to feed her the food. I like giving her meals in like a treat ball or some kind of like puzzle situation. It just takes her longer to actually eat the food and gives her, you know, a little bit of enrichment. After that, their dinner time is usually around 6:45. It was a little late today, but that's okay. I also feed Nahan, and he also eats. Nahan is weird though, because sometimes you give him his food and he immediately like starts eating and he is very excited about it. Other times he looks at it like you've given him a pile of slop, and I'm like, this is literally the food you eat all the time. What are you doing? And he'll like, sometimes he will not eat it. He self-regulates though with his food. So we usually have just like kibble or something out for him, and he'll just like eat when he actually is hungry. So anyway, usually while Jade is eating, I will do dishes or something else. I need to keep close by her though, because she is not the best at holding it, and when she needs to go like immediately. So I need to be right there or she's gonna go on the floor, which is not ideal. So by the time we get to about 7:20, 7:30, everybody has been fed. I have done some chores, and then it just sort of depends on what everyone's doing essentially. Sometimes Jade is just sort of chill and just sort of hanging out, and if that's the case, I can come back to my office and maybe do a little bit more work, another 30, 45 minutes, something like that. I'm usually though at this point not doing writing work. I'll almost never, because my brain is just too tired at this point. Usually I'm doing other stuff like video editing or thumbnail creation or something like that does not use as many brain cells. On a typical night, my husband would be getting home around 8:20 or so, and then he's usually in charge of dog walking, and then we're kind of getting ready for bed. I like to be in bed by 9 o'clock, and I usually spend up to an hour reading. Sometimes if I'm too tired, it'll be lights out by like 9:30, but usually I'm okay to stay up until about 10, and then I turn out the light and I will lay there for quite a while trying to fall asleep, but some nights were more successful than others. So that is a day in my life as a writer with a full-time job. You can see that while I do have responsibilities outside of my day job, they are maybe not as demanding as things have been in the past for me, and they're definitely not as demanding as like children or anything like that. So I do have quite a bit of time to play with throughout the day where I can potentially be doing writing work. If you are struggling to find time to write, when do you find time to write? A lot of times it's about making time to write. If I didn't get up early in the morning, my time to write would be limited to weekends, and then whatever kind of like mid to late afternoon little bit of time I can squeeze in. But like you saw from today, that doesn't always work out, or I don't always get a lot done, or I'm tired by the time it gets to be like 4:30, and it's just, for me, it's not an ideal time to do really concentrated writing work. So I have ended up this year, I think, in last year too, right? I'm pretty sure last year is when I started getting up early. But for me, in this current season of life, the earlier wake up time to allow for writing time in the morning has really made a difference in the amount of work I'm able to get done. I've made a lot more progress than I would have otherwise. If you're struggling to find that time or make that time, I do have an exercise that you can do. There is a template if you want to download it from my website. I'll link to that below. It's just a really simple template. You could also just use a blank notebook and make notes to yourself. It's kind of an annoying exercise, and it does require a little bit of persistence to stick with it, but it is very helpful, and honestly, the times I've done it, it's very insightful. So basically all you're going to do is record what you are doing every like 15 to 30 minutes of the day for a week. And the purpose here is to see where are the pockets of time that you are potentially wasting on some other activity. You might be thinking like, I already know like what I do during the week, but do this anyway. Again, like the times I've done it, I've found like, wow, you're really wasting a lot of time, you know, scrolling on Instagram at 2:30 or whatever. I don't know. Like there's just things that we do that you don't need to do, and that is really just most of all a time waster. And this really helps you see exactly when those times are kicking in. I would encourage you, if you do this activity or this little like exercise, if you want to call it that, try to live just a normal week. Don't try to live like some idealized version of what you normally do. Like if you normally sit and watch Netflix for 3.5 hours every evening, like just do that and write it down. This is kind of the same if you've ever tried to like track your diet and like, what am I eating during the week? There's that temptation to try to like eat super healthy so it looks like you're doing such a great job, but then that defeats the purpose of the exercise. So spend a week as you normally would. Try to pick a week that's not like, you know, Christmas week or something where you're gonna have like a lot of crazy activities going on, but just a normal week in your life. Record your times and then go back through everything. Do some tallies. How much time are you spending in the morning, like getting ready? How much time are you spending in the afternoons just sitting around on your sofa? I don't know, like tally up the time and see where can you make pockets of time for writing or really for anything that's important to you. You're gonna make time for the things that are important to you. And just remember that different seasons of life are going to allow for different amounts of time that you can spend on things like writing. Some seasons of life are really busy and really hectic and really stressful, and writing just has to take a back seat. Other times, like the season of life I'm in right now, I've got a lot of free time and I use a lot of it to do writing stuff. So that's not always going to be the case for me, I'm sure. Come back next year, I'm sure, you know, life will look a little different. But in any case, that is a day in my life. I hope it was fun. So let me know if any of this is similar to how you structure your days, or does your day look completely different? Do you have time for writing on a regular daily kind of basis, or do you save it for like Saturday afternoons? Let me know in the comments. Before I sign out, I want to do a really quick shout out for some Patreon members. Thank you guys so much again for joining up over there. There are free options to join as well as paid tiers. So special thank you today to Aimee, Saskia, Nola, and Angela. Thank you guys so much for checking out the Patreon. If you're interested in checking that out, the link is in the description. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, you can click the subscribe button. I post videos usually on Fridays. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.